garbage. All of them. It's more or less gacha garbage. Oh, but this is better. You're still getting bent over, little bro. Like, it doesn't matter which game you're playing. You're still getting bent fucking over. You know what I'm saying? They're giving you that bad boy, and they're still hitting you. They're still hitting you, bro. You're just picking your poison.
This nigga. You have been living under a rock. There's a whole drama going on right now around the pity system in Arknights Endfield. And of course, there's a clown at the center of it all, calling out anyone who doesn't hate the system as much as they do. But when you actually take a step back, all this really is people arguing over which casino scams you the least. And to me, that's wild, because while everyone is busy fighting over pity math and pool efficiency, they're completely missing the bigger issues with gacha games as a whole. There are way bigger fish to fry than which game screws you over slightly slower than the other. I was gonna react to Pokey. I did see Pokey's posted a video. The moment I clicked record, Smack uploaded a video. So hopefully Smack's going over this whole thing. I kind of just want to see his take and just hopefully it's like a generalized take and see what's going on and see if I agree. But yeah, let's just get right into it.
Welcome back to another video by yours truly. It's finally time to discuss the elephant in the room. I'm sure many of my community members have been waiting on my opinion on Arknights Endfield's gacha system. Is it good? Is it bad? All this stuff. I made this video already. I literally did. But we've learned new things about its Harry Potter book of a gacha system.
Oh God.
We've learned new things. And so this video was put out over a month ago when I got invited to the beta and I was sponsored to do a live stream for the beta. Fun little fact. When I was sponsored to do the live stream in the beta, and you can go, anybody who is watching this video and you were in that live stream, you can verify this. There was multiple people asking me, hey, Smack, isn't this a sponsored stream? Because I was being blatantly and blunt about my criticisms and discontent with Arknights Endfield in that first 3.
I feel like those are the best sponsors when they let you be completely transparent and just like give your actual opinions rather than just like shilling the game. Those are like the best sponsors, I swear.
Hours. This is a literal fact, what I'm about to say. When I finished the stream, the sponsor segment, I then proceeded to say, guys, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I like this game. I don't think it's for me. I said something along the lines there. I was like, that was pretty bad. And I slept on it. I woke up the next day, played it again, unsponsored, and the game got better. It went from shit to enjoyable. And then the next day I did it again. It went from enjoyable to, oh, I really actually like this game now. And so it's fascinating how, you know, one's mentality can change over time with more hours put into a game. And that was what led me to give it more and more chances. This is a quick little tangent. Basically, your initial thought process can change with more time, with more effort and more thought put into whatever the hell it is you're pondering about. I say all of that to say, if somebody out there is telling you you can't trust Gacha Smack's word because he's sponsored, they're doing what I would like to call a character assassination. You're not actually tackling the arguments I'm making in this video. You're just trying to take away my credibility, because that's one of the easiest ways to take away credibility, is to say that person sponsored their page. You can't trust their word. But I urge you
that, or people just being like, oh man, this person always has bad takes with like no factual evidence at all. Like, oh my gosh, man, those are the worst. Those people instantly hide user from channel instantly.
You guys to just listen to the mere reasoning that I am making when I'm talking about this game's gacha system today. It has nothing to do with sponsorships. In fact, if you look at this video, this was published after I was sponsored, which means by definition through these guys, if I am trying to get more sponsors, you should be able to go to my channel, search for the video since I've played the beta, and you should see a lot of Arknights Endfield glazing. You should see nothing but Slorp Glorp and Arknights Endfield, right? But that's nowhere to be found. The only video I've made since the beta was this, and this was me critiquing the hell out of its gacha system. I know that was a long-winded intro, but I say this to basically preface this video as that has nothing to do with what I'm about to tell you in this video. What I'm about to tell you in this video is my own opinions, sincerity and all. And I'm gonna be sponsored when Arknights Endfield launches. I got 3 live streams and 2 videos. None of that has anything to do with what I feel about the game. It doesn't. Inside of the sponsor, of course, sure, you could say that. Outside of the sponsor, my words and my sincerity belong to me. And without further ado, let's talk about this guy.
Okay, and that's something that's like proven, right? These businesses, these companies, they hire psychologists to get this type of information. They know that the longer these banners are, you're going to end up, especially if you're like free to play, maybe even like low spender, you're going to pull anyway, right? You're going to get bored. You're going to pull anyway. A lot of people just have FOMO, and it's a business tactic that's known to make them money. So it's definitely, you can 100% blame the player, but you can't well, okay, sorry. You can blame the player, not 100% though, right? Like, a portion of that blame has to go to the company, because they literally have this shit down to a T. They know exactly what you're thinking. They know exactly how you're feeling, and they're trying to really like elevate this FOMO, so you feel it even more, so you end up pulling, and then you end up spinning on the next banner because you don't have the resources. So yeah,
grown adults who will pull on a banner knowing they shouldn't, because it's just that easy to pull on the banner. This is gambling. It's like you stay in a casino long enough, you're eventually going to sit down on the machine and do a spin. That is how it works. Now, there are people and outliers that don't do that, but the majority of people are going to be like, fuck, I'm here. I might as well do a 10 pull. And so that's why people don't like the no pity carryover. And guess what? I'm on their side with that one. Now, the next one, the 50-50 system. Now, there's nuance to this, and I'll talk about that. First of all, what do I like about the 50-50 system? It's very simple. The less gambling there is, the better the system. I have a philosophy here, and that is the house always wins in gambling. I don't give a fuck how lucky you are. Eventually, you keep sticking around in that casino, and the house will win. So the best thing to do is, if as soon as you win, you get off, you never play again, right? That's the best case scenario. But unfortunately, in gacha games, we continue playing. They're designed to be played, well, as long as they can get your ass to stay on the game. And so the house always wins. That's why 50-50s are fucking horrible. They don't feel good. But here's the thing. The nuance is Arknights Endfield system, its gacha system, it is entirely designed around the 50-50. Its whole goddamn gacha system is designed around the 50-50. What I mean by that is its 50-50 system is inherently better than Wuthering Waves and Hoyoverse games, because if you lose the 50-50, there is a chance for you to lose it, and it actually ends up being better than if you won it. I'll explain that later. With all that said, though, that's pretty much all I don't like about the game's gacha system. Pretty much it. There's one burning question we do need to be mindful of. In fact, I think I made a whole page about this. We're going to take a quick break. These are important questions. Banner scheduling, resource acquisition for pulls per patch, power creep aggression, free-to-play options and their value, and your purchasing power, okay? I was looking at this and I was thinking, in Wuwa, 145 pulls, which is typically the average player's luck. They go up to about 65 and they hit pity, and then they get their character and it's a 50-50 loss. Then they have to go up to the pity again, 65. Does that make sense? And for some people, it's about 70, right? So it just depends. But 145 times 2 is 290 pulls. This means if you lose two 50-50s back to back, you had to do 290 pulls to get both those characters. And when you have both those characters, you still don't have a signature weapon. Because in both Wuwa and Hoyo games, your pulls can't be equated to conversion for a weapon banner purchase. Now, you might be thinking of that remaining leftover that you get as a little leftover resource. Most people who are budget players are just converting that into more pulls, because they don't want to spend money in the store. And so they convert that into more pulls to try and secure the character. So that can't be applied either. But the reason I bring this up is because these are questions that also factor in to which game is actually going to end up being the more player-friendly concept. Unfortunately, the resource
context, I don't know anything about the Arknights Endfield pity system, so I'm learning this with you guys. I literally haven't looked into it at all, but yeah, just for full transparency,
source acquisition for pulls per patch, it's in a vacuum. Some Reddit thread might have it, but I personally just like to find out for myself to really feel how much resources we're getting. And I'm gonna be real with you. In the first month, it's still gonna be a gray area because they're very generous in those first launch incentive pool resources. Does that make sense? You really don't know what you're getting until about 2 to 3 months into the game, where you start to see them laying out those live streams and saying, these are the events, this is what we're giving out, so on and so forth. But we don't know this question, right? And this is a very important question. We do know the banner scheduling, but the banner scheduling goes in alignment with their 50-50 system and how it's beneficial to how they structure it. Once again, this will make sense in a point, because most people think, oh, you have less time to acquire that limited character. That means bad. But you're looking at one small part of the picture known as the gacha picture. When you analyze the whole picture, you understand why it's a less banner scheduling. At the end of the day, it's all gacha garbage, but these details do make a difference when you compare them to their peers. Power creep aggression. We don't know that answer. We don't know how fast it's going to happen, right? Power creep aggression in HSR was one of the most egregious things I ever saw. In CZN, it's looking like it'll end up giving HSR a run for its money. We'll see what happens there. But power creep aggression in WuWa was one of the best experiences I had, right? Its power creep aggression wasn't that bad. Now it looks like it's ramping up a little bit. We'll see what happens, right? But
I'm actually interested, because I do want to cover CZN a lot, because it's my favorite gacha right now. I probably will upload a short after this, but if you play CZN and you're free to play, how difficult is the content for you? Because I'm borderline a whale in that game, so I don't want to compare my experience to someone who's like not spending at all, you know? So I would like to know how that game feels to you. With that being like their tower game mode, basically TOA, MOC, and then also their the new in-game mode where the enemies are like scale plus like over level 100 and they can end up like one-shotting you, right? So I'd be interested to know how that game feels to someone who's free to play.
We don't know what this is going to look like in Arknights Endfield either. In my beta experience, this was actually really solid in terms of the standard banner characters, but I mean, it all starts off that way in the beginning of gacha games. Free-to-play options and their value. This, I can tell you definitively, the beginning of the game, Arknights Endfield has some really good free-to-play value. There's a lot of weapons to purchase. It's like 10-to-1 weapons in terms of quantity when you compare it to WuWa and Genshin. There's a lot of weapons. You can even buy them outright from the shop with the Arsenal ticket. No gamba, just blink, give me my 6-star. Purchase power. I've heard, and this is kind of in a vacuum too, I guess we'll see when it comes out. People say China already has their prices out. They've done the comparison. I've heard that the purchase power is stronger in Arknights because 120 pity is lower than the pity of WuWa and Genshin, correct? Well, if they're giving you 50 pulls for a $100 purchase, just like WuWa does for its $100, but their pity is lower, this is objectively better purchasing power. So for a spender, spend $100, I got 50 pulls, 120 is the pity, that means I only need 70. In WuWa, spend $50, I get 100 pulls, but I have 40 more pulls to make on top of the 70. You see what I mean? So that's literally objectively better purchase power. All of these are good things to keep in mind as we're going through it. Some of the answers we don't know yet, so it's hard to kind of like measure, but it is worth keeping in consideration. So let's go back to what do I like about its gacha system? That's important. The weapon banner system. I've heard mixed bag like takes on this, but I feel we can give a very good take on it. It doesn't share pull resources with limited characters. That's what I like about it. In comparison to its peers, right? If you just ask me, period, I say, motherfucker, we should be grinding these weapons for free. But in comparison to its peers, the polished turds, not sharing pull resources with the limited character banner means more limited character resources to pull on the limited character banner. Can grind Arsenal tickets weekly for free and save up. This is a fact. There's people out there saying, oh, you can only get them if you pull on the banners. This is not true. This is demonstrably so. Let me go ahead and pull up this. And we come over here to Arknights Endfield, and you go over here to weekly routine. A permanent weekly routine screen has been added to the event calendar center. Turn that shit off. Okay. Turn that shit off. All right. Anyways, a new weekly routine. Okay. So you're going to be able to do weekly grind that's going to net you ore barrels, which is your weekly pull resource or your pull resource, and then arsenal tickets. So you can acquire these outside of pulling on characters. Now, of course, it's going to be a finite amount, but the fact that you can still grind it bi-weekly, every week, not bi-weekly, you can eventually save up and get a character completely for free on top of pulling on characters. This is, when you compare it to the other games, better. because you're not sharing the resources with the characters, and you can grind that shit for free. Now, one thing that comes to mind is you can buy 7 pulls out of Woo-Wah shop and save that shit for a X amount of time. But those 7 pulls aren't a lot of pulls when you have 80 fucking pulls to make, are they? No, they're not. And if you decide to pull on the weapon banner in Woo-Wah, you fuck yourself over in the future when you want to pull on the next character. Shakona and Kartethia, you pull Shakona early, get her win the 50-50, so then you pull Shakona's weapon. Well, now when Kartethia comes up, you wasted your weapon, your Kartethia pulls on getting the weapon for Shakona. So you still got a shortage there, and you still end up getting bent over and spending money on the Kartethia banner, especially if you lose the 50-50. You see what I mean?
Is he saying that because it's a different resource? It's a little like sword resources instead of the asteroid, or sorry, instead of tides. Okay. I'm not taking anyone's side in this video. I'm just trying to I'm trying to learn. I'm just honestly trying to learn.
Sharing that resource fucking sucks balls. That's gacha garbage. That's polished turd territory. So when we come back to this, it's actually better in comparison to not share the resource and even have an external resource to acquire arsenal tickets. That's how I view that. The 50-50 system is better than Hoyo and Kudo because you can lose a 50-50 to another limited character. This is massive. You have a 28.6% chance for that 50-50 to land on the other 2 charted characters. Now, what does that mean? Well, if they do...
Wait, so is there event character banner, not just one character? Is it multiple characters at the same time? Because that's what I'm getting from that, but maybe I'm wrong.
A PB&J scenario, and there is a caveat to this, and I'll talk about that. If Arknights Endfield does the PB&J scenario, which is very prevalent and popular in both HSR and Wuthering Waves, where they line the 2 best synergistic characters right up to one another, forcing you to feel like you need to pull on them back to back. And if you skip the character, well, then the next time they get reran, they get done in another PB&J scenario with an even better character. You see what I mean? It gets fucking garbage and slimy, polished turd territory,
or they're power crept by the time their rerun comes out, right? So that's another sentiment as well.
In Arknights Endfield, if there's a PB&J scenario, you can actually get the best outcome by losing a 50-50. Because if you win the 50-50, well, then you have to pull again when their character pops up. You see what I'm saying? So you win the 50-50, you get Shakona in Arknights Endfield. The next character pops up, Kartethia. You lose the 50-50, you have to go full pity, you get the Kartethia. You've now spent way more resources and possibly money by winning the 50-50 for Shakona. Whereas in Arknights Endfield, once again, you lose the 50-50, but you get Kartethia for the loss. Now you go up to 120 and you get Shakona. You've just got 2 limited characters in 120
I see
pulls.
What he's saying.
This is once again.
I see. I guess it kind of just depends on how good those limited characters are going to be, right? It really just kind of depends. God, that's why you brought up the power creep thing, like how aggressive it's going to be, right? Because if it's not that aggressive, then that sounds amazing. That system actually sounds amazing. But if the power creep's extremely aggressive, then this doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, I understand. I get it.
And shitting on a 50-50 system inside of Woo-Wah and Genshin Impact in that regard. Final thing is 120 pulls in Arknights Endfield gives you enough resources to hit 40 pulls on the weapon banner because it converts into arsenal tickets as you do pulls on top of the other shit that converts into limited pulls. So you take those arsenal tickets now, put them in the banner, 25% chance at 40 pity to get a limited character, but you're guaranteed at bare minimum to get a 6-star weapon. That means you got Shakona, Kartethia, and a 6-star weapon. In Woo-Wah, if you lose that 50-50, there is no chance, and in Hoyo, there is 0 chance for you to get a limited banner character. There is guaranteed chance that you get somebody like Ling Yang. No, and the further that game goes on,
I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to make a video talking about that. Wuthering Waves has the worst standard banner out of all of the big 3. Like, it's so bad. It's such a bad standard banner. The only usable character on that standard banner is Verena at like S2 or something, right? You can get like S2 Verena. That's solid, right? Like, obviously people are going to be like, oh, but if you could get like S6 Calcharo, like, sure, dude, whatever. But like, not everyone's a top like 0.0001% player and sweating their dick off with Calcharo, right? Like, why can't we move like characters that have like fallen off a little bit to the standard banner, like Carlotta? I don't know. That's why I'm enjoying CCN so much. Literally every banner, every character goes to the standard banner, and the game's just great. But I don't know. So yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, HSR as well. HSR as well. Like I wouldn't want to lose to anybody, right? I think I have E6 Himiko, and it's like, sure, it's great because it's like it's less stacks for her to proc her follow up. But I mean, is she really like pulling her weight outside of pure fiction? I don't know.
On, the more that shit feels like ass, because you keep getting characters who are getting down and lower in value. This is one of the worst painful experiences in playing those games. 50-50s fucking suck in Wuwa and Genshin, because you know if you lose it, you're not getting anything good. It's a terrible experience. And so there's trade-offs here. If you lose a 50-50, it's a 28.6% chance. Chances are the odds are against you to get those limited banner characters. And so it's like barely better, right? There's that chance. It's barely better. This is why I said it's more or less gacha garbage. All of them. It's more or less gacha garbage. Oh, but this is better. You're still getting bent over, little bro. Like, it doesn't matter which game you're playing. You're still getting bent fucking over. You know what I'm saying? They're giving you that bad boy, and they're still hitting you. They're still hitting you, bro. You're just picking your poison.
This nigga. No, he did not. Bro, it is like, oh my god, it's fucking like 11 p.m. right now, and I'm just like yelling, holy shit. No, he didn't just do that. Oh my god, bro. He said no Vaseline. Just going in raw. Oh my god.
At that point, this is an edit in because I forgot this very important caveat that Unk said he was going to cover and he didn't. So remember I said the PB&J scenario is good for Arknights Endfield, and it is, because if you lose a 50-50 to the compatible limited banner character that's coming next, you just saved a bunch of resources and potential money for spenders. However, a staggered banner scenario is not good for Arknights Endfield, to where that is good for Wuwa and Hoyo because it gives you time to save and get that character that synergizes with the other character.
Yeah.
But often at times in Hoyo and Wuwa games, they will put the best characters right next to each other because they know for a fact you're going to pull on both of them because they synergize. At least the chances are drastically increase.
Like Augusta and are being reran right now at the same time, right? But so, yeah.
However, in Arknights, there is a possibility, and I caution you guys to look out for this, that they don't ever PB&J the characters. You know how there's 3 charted characters, right? 3 limited characters back to back to back. You can actually get the other 2 on the banner you're pulling on. Well, if they never PB&J, this is actually a shit system. And this is a possibility. I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm just saying this isn't a possibility. Because what they're going to do is they're going to put 3 non-compatible characters next to each other. And if you lose the 50-50 and get the next character on the charted banner, then you have 2 characters who are missing their best in slots. And their best in slots aren't going to come until the next 3 charted characters. And so this is going to be a never-ending FOMO-induced system.
So I was right about that. It's going to be 3 charted characters on the banner. Okay, so that's an interesting system. I personally don't really like it, but I mean... Again, it's just all gacha game garbage. Like, it is what it is.
Where you lose a 50-50, you get another limited character. Great, but I don't have their partner, which means you're going to be perpetuated to constantly have to pull to get the partners and stuff. I just wanted to throw that out because I said I wanted to be as fair and impartial as I can about both systems. As I said before, pros and cons, polished turds. At the end of the day, they're all bending you over. This could happen. Aura geometries. This is the resource that you can buy out of the shop, but it can also be converted into pools or weapon pools. But you can get them as you go through the game and explore the game. Now, it's a finite resource, and we all know they're not going to hand this shit out like lollipops at the dentist's office for my 3-year-old daughter. They're not going to do that, right? It's going to be quite finite. But I'll be real. This literally just doesn't exist in both Wuwa and in Hoyo games. We still can't say this is better because this falls under the territory of how much
are you getting?
Pool economy looks like. How much pool economy are we getting in totality, including these ore geometries? That is what's going to decide whether Arknights Endfield in this is actually better. And that is, again, by design intentionally to confuse you. You see what I mean? So right here, it's like Wuwa might still be better. They might still give more pools acquisition in comparison to their entire gacha system. They might not. I don't know. Finally, 120 pools is cheaper than 180 and 160. That is the best. Like literally, that's just as simple as it gets. The fact that the purchasing power gives you the exact same pulls, and then you have 120 pity versus 180 and 160, is just better. There's no other way to put it. For the spender, for the person who spends money, this is straight up just better. Shop prices are also given the same amount of pulls, which means the lower pity is actually a better bargain. Yeah, pretty much what I said. It's like a straight shot there. 6-star weapon banner is a 4% drop rate versus a 0.8% drop rate in Wuwa and a 0.6% drop rate in Genshin. Guys, this is no contest.
4%? 4% is nasty. Just to put that in perspective, again, we're going to talk about Chaos Zero Nightmare because that's the game I'm actively playing. There's like a banner for like holographic cards, right? And they give out those resources all the time. That banner is 3%, I believe. And I hit doubles and triples on that banner because it's 3%. It's better than 0.4, 0.5, right? You're rarely going to hit a double with 0.4, 0.5, but with this is even higher. That's 4%. And that's for a weapon. That's for something that's actually going to be usable on your character and is actually going to have longevity. So that's pretty solid. That is pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. 40 pull pity to guarantee yourself a 6-star weapon. I'm getting a little bit ahead, but 25% limited chance, 80 pull pity to guarantee the limited weapon. Okay. Right. That's not bad. It's not necessary. So Wuthering Waves has its guaranteed weapon banner at 80, right? But this is 40 for not a guarantee, but you still have a chance of getting it early. But it's almost the same thing, I would say, if you compare it to Wuthering Waves. But let's see what Smack has to say.
Grind the Arsenal tickets weekly for free. You get them when you pull on the limited banner, and it doesn't share the same resource as the limited banner. And it's a 4% drop rate for the 6-star weapon to appear. This is just objectively better. You are arguing with a fact at this point. The only thing that people can use is the most extreme argument. And that is, what if you get a character early? Then you don't have enough of that Arsenal ticket. True. That's absolutely true. But you can grind the resource weekly. If the banner expires, who cares? Because guess what? In Wuthering Waves, you're not getting this at all, my guy. And if you use that, let's say in Wuthering Waves, you win the pity early, just like I mentioned earlier, and you decide to pull on that character's weapon, well, you just fucked yourself for the next character that you want to get because that resource is shared with the limited character. Polished turd, like, but what you cannot deny is that this 1 billion% is better than this. And then you take into consideration.
Yeah, you have to convert your astrates to the weapon material to pull the weapon. So that's what he means by that.
Consideration, the weekly grind for it. It's just better. You're arguing with a fact at that point. 40 pull pity to guarantee yourself a 6-star weapon with the 4% chance. This just compounds on what I'm talking about. Now, there's a 25% limited chance. This is gacha garbage again. But it is a chance.
That is
where
garbage.
you might get.
That's why I said, and I know there's people that are going to disagree. That's literally why I said it's pretty much the same as Wuthering Waves, because that 25% limited chance is straight garbage. That is dog shit. But 4% drop rate is nasty. You're gonna hit weapons within that 40 a lot, I feel like. Yeah.
The limited character at 40 pulls, 25% chance, or limited weapon. I'm sorry, limited weapon. So if that happens, well, that's better odds, boys. You're in the casino and you're looking at the table that has the better odds at the end.
But I will say more often than not, you're probably going to have to go closer to that 80 or wherever their soft pity starts. Yeah. Right? Because you're going to end up not getting the weapon you want. And then you're going to have to go 40 more, or at least, I don't know where soft pity starts, but probably at least like 30, 35 more, maybe, to get your actual weapon that you want, right? So that's why I say it's pretty much the same shit.
80 pull pity to guarantee the limited weapon. Same as Woo-Wah. But on the way to that 80 pity, 4%,
yeah,
versus 0.8%.
Yeah.
And in Woo-Wah, you just gotta share the resource or spend that money. Quick little fun fact here. I had to spend $200 to secure my Mornier. Yeah, I lost my 50-50. Spent $100 to even lose the 50-50 because I had already won my 50-50 against Lene. Won my 50-50 against Lene. Spent $100 to even have enough to do a 50-50 against Mornier. Lost it. Had to spend another $100 just to secure the Mornier. And what do I have left over to show for that? Fuck all.
Not a goddamn
I have a
thing.
signatureless Mornier. I have a maidenless Mornier. $200 gone in the drain. In Arknights Endfield, I'll probably spend $200 and I'll have the character and potentially a limited character on top of that, right? There's a chance. Oh, Gamba. And then I'll be able to buy a 6-star weapon out of the shop with the leftover Arsenal tickets that I did during the pulls. Better scenario, to be honest. It is a better scenario. But you still spent $200 on both games. You still got bent over in both games. The moral of the story here, guys, is
don't get bent over.
We're all fucking hypocrites playing gacha games and gambling addicts. All right, GG's.
That's a good ending. I love that. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.